This is Joe Pugh for IFLTV. Tuesday, start of fight week. Johnny Nelson, 35 years in the making.
You know what? I don't understand. You got Corgi stood next to you. You're doing all the work. It's like you're taking over things, man. Is that
I don't know about that. I don't.
Yeah, I see. You got him like a little YTS. You hold that camera right, boy. Come on.
Go on.
Who are you calling boy? Who are you calling boy?
Well, he's just backed up your argument there, to be honest. So, right, yeah. Look, fight week. What are we to expect from today? Grand arrivals. Anything?
I know one thing they should do is not let these fighters get close to each other. I saw walked in security. They all make me look small. You know what I mean? They're going to make sure they've got security tight around these boys because it's fight week. All the fights being done. The fight is sold. They don't need to do anything risky to risk this fight, falling off a cliff. So I've heard they're going to do a head-to-head. I'm surprised, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Just want to get your kind of thoughts on Chris Eubank Sr.'s comments. We know we spoke to you last week, but I don't know if you saw his interview with Carl Froch. He's still convinced the fight doesn't happen.
He told me 4 weeks ago. And I'm like, he said, I can't tell you why, but this fight won't happen. I'm like, I'm waiting for the big reveal.
Does it plant any seeds of doubt in your head?
He must know something I don't, for him to keep saying it and keep saying it. He just must know something I don't, but he's saying it for a reason.
Should this fight happen, like we all hope and think it will, has your opinions changed at all in the build-up to this fight?
I'm swaying backward and forward, and it's not until they're both getting on the scales and I see them physically that will make me make me stick to what I'm saying.
You good?
So we'll have to wait and see.
You good?
What's up, brother? Looking dapper too. Shit.
You good?
Right. You good, Adam? You okay?
Very good.
Ready for a big week?
Of course. Very, very. It's going to be fabulous. It's a fight that's going to stop traffic in this city. I think it's a fight that the casuals are talking about. It reminds me a little bit of Froch and Groves a decade or so ago, but this has got more history. Johnny and I were around when their fathers went at it, and we worked at Sky in the early days, in the latter part of both Chris and Nigel's careers.
Chris will turn up?
No, I don't think he will actually, because I think he's made his points very clear, and I think it's a real shame. And I think it's a shame, Johnny, because I think that the most important thing is the father and son relationship, and I think that's all that matters between the two Chris's. Whether obviously we'd love him to turn up for the promotion, the four of them together. However, for me, the most important thing is that the father and son, especially after what happened with Sebastian, is healed.
I don't think Chris Senior will turn up because for that reason, not for that reason, for the fact that everything he said, he'll contradict himself, and so when he believes in what he's saying, so why would he contradict himself in such a way and undermine his own philosophy?
Do you think that makes a big difference to Chris?
No, I think the shutters had gone down a long time ago with Chris and his dad. There's other stuff going on personally in the Eubank household, which is not our business. But
he's very focused, Chris, as junior, isn't he?
That's the shutters going down. That's the shutters going down and saying, you know what? I'd love my dad to come, but this is business.
Johnny, have you seen Eddie Hearn's comments about victim mentality?
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny. Why would he say that? I love my career.
Have you got victim mentality?
Yeah, I have, yeah. Come on, man.
Adam, has Johnny got victim mentality?
It made me smile, but I'm talking for the fighters. I used to be a fighter. I'm talking for the fighters. I'm talking for the 95% of fighters that have to subsidize their career with a second job. I'm talking for them. So me talking for them, what you do is you don't address what I'm saying. You attack the messenger. And so it's not about me having a victim mentality or not. It's about what I'm saying. You still didn't get an answer. You ask any promoter, you're not going to get an answer. And this is the putting meat on the bones. We were talking about promoters doing what Chris did,
compensating the fight.
But I understand you're not expecting a promoter to go in his pocket and blow his own dough. What I'm saying is, if there's an opportunity, if you make a little bit of profit, sort them out. So Chris doing that, I'm trying to highlight what Chris actually did because it just slipped away, and you guys didn't do your job by chasing the promoters and putting a mark on them, saying, well, hold on, Chris has done this. Why don't
You ask Eddie this week about those comments.
That's your job.
We will do that.
That's your job, and you know what? Then question the answer. Don't be baffled by Nelson, whatever. Nelson's a victim, whatever. Get an answer, and not just off Eddie. Get it off Frank. Get it off them all. Get an answer. Do your job.
I think what I would say and add to it is that it's all about the fighters. None of us, this wouldn't happen without the boxers that get in the ring. And I think that that's always really important to remember. We worked so long together at Sky, Johnny and I, because I saw what Johnny went through in his career. He didn't get a great start as an amateur or as a professional. He got sort of hounded out in Sheffield after the Carlos de Leon fight. He had to go around the world. He had to prove himself over 4 or 5 years on the road, winning some, losing some.
So I understand both sides of the fence.
And then coming back and having 33 fights and never losing again, becoming a world champion and reigning for 7.5 years. This guy's seen it all, therefore he can relate to any fighter of any level. And I think that's important to remember. He's the one that has got in the ring 65 times, not me, not you. And I think it's important to remember that the fighters are at the epicenter of this sport, and none of us will be doing this without them. And I think sometimes that we all get lost in the sort of hoopla of it all, but they're the ones that go in the ring and put their lives, their careers on the line. Liam Cameron, look at him. Look at where he was in life and how he's come back and done what he's done, and having 10,000 people cheering him on Saturday night and making his whole future financially secure. I think that's an amazing story, And I think we just need to remember that the fighters are doing it for our entertainment.
Last one from the both of you. What is it, about 6:30 Tuesday? Predictions for the fight Saturday night. Start with you, Johnny.
Can you make a prediction?
Can you?
I can, but are you allowed to, though? I've initially started off with Chris, even though I wasn't impressed with his last fight, even though I think the inactivity of Conor for the last 15 months might affect it, even though I think he's the older fight of the two. I'm siding towards Chris, but I'm going to wait until the weigh-in and give you my definitive answer when I see them both on the scales and see what they look like.
Same question to you, Adam, if you can.
I'm calling the fight for DAZN, so I'm not going to give you a prediction. But what I will say is that when the fight was first announced 2.5 years ago, I thought that Chris Eubank Jr. would win fairly comfortably. This time around, when it was announced, I thought, he's still got the size, the experience, and he's fought at the higher level. However, he's 35 now. He had that defeat first time around to Liam Smith. Conor Benn, I think, will be better at the weight than people are suspecting. And I think the fire, ferocity, drive and willpower that he brings into the ring means write him off at your peril. I think it's going to be a fabulous firefight, I really do.
Adam, Johnny, thank you very much for speaking to IFLTV. We look forward to seeing the week play out. Thank you very much.